Workers and the president of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees called for the devolution of powers and financial autonomy to local government councils in order to effectively tackle insecurity.
Every security challenges are local. The solution to it is a local solution. The city centers are already overpolice. What we need is a municipal community policing.
The National Council on Local Government in Nigeria, the council, once it is established, will act as the highest advisory body to the nation on issues of local government. It will comprise of political leaders, key functionaries of the local government system, as well as major stakeholders that would meet regularly to discuss and share ideas on how to develop benchmarks of good governance.
We openly support the bill to grant autonomy to local government councils in Nigeria.
Local government autonomy is part of the 44 alterations recently passed by the National Assembly, but now awaiting concurrence from the state houses of assembly. Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, recent announcement of the indefinite extension of the over 6-month strike is generating reactions, and guests on Good Morning Nigeria believe it is needless and cynical exercise. Though there are varying opinions, they insist ASU needs to refocus, re-establish and re-evaluate the essence for which their structure was set up in the first place. General Daria tells us more.
Like wildfire, ASU rages on with its ongoing strike with no possible end in sight. But guests on Good Morning Nigeria say it is pertinent now more than ever for all parties involved to reach a compromise to avoid sending the educational system into a cardiac arrest.
It is not the wish of every Nigerian lecturer to go on strike, but because the only body representing Nigerian universities at the negotiating table is ASU, they drag all of us into the strike, whether you like it or not. In a post-COVID recovery, do we need to actually be realistic on the so-called autonomy of universities that ASU has been hammering on? Or we need to be autonomous. Their own definition of autonomy is that federal government should allow them to do whatever we want, should allow us to do whatever we want in the university system, but at the same time fund us 100%.
Alluding to the comatose in the educational sector, the guests note that there must be an intentional approach in the prudent and effective management of resources in institutions.
If you sit down with those who are honest in the academia, they will tell you that the totality of what they call annual allowances and something is like is an abracadabra of some financial things, of benefits. Some of them you can actually in truth justify them. For me, I also believe that if we can pay commensurate salaries, all these other allowances that they are too amorphous should give way.
They urge institutions to be less dependent on government and more productive, thus easing the milk in the cow syndrome. In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NT News.
Meanwhile, the continuous strike by ASU is eliciting strong condemnations from across a cross-section of Nigerians who describe the action as anti-developmental to the country's socio-economic path of sustainable progress. Wisdom Jacob will tell us more.
In spite of interventions from government and concerned individuals to end this industrial action, the strike has persisted, and many ask, what happens to the state of nation's educational system?
This one, they are using the word indefinite. That means there is no hope for Nigerian students, except people who are in the state universities or private universities.
Our results has not been approved yet because of the strike.
The strike has affected me. It has held me back. I was supposed to move for NYSC, but right now I'm still at home.
For business operators, it is a sour taste as their means of livelihoods are suffering setbacks.
business has not really been what it is. There is a decline in the transaction flows.
You look at how everywhere is scanty, businesses are not working, and the strike has really affected the students. Nowadays, you no longer see anybody to carry, but because we that are here, we mainly carry the students.
As the strike persists, Nigerians are calling for quick reopening of universities' lecture rooms and the return of normal academic activities. In Uyo, Wisdom Jacob, NTA News.
Now let's talk more on the ASU strike as we bring in barrister Luke Oko, a legal practitioner, to speak more on legal stand of the no work, no pay stance of the federal government. You're welcome to Nationwide.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we've had several reports on this matter that has dragged for so long. Now let's talk about explain it in legal terms. No work, no play stance of the federal government. Tell us more.
First of all, we need to establish the fact that the no work, no pay policy is codified in Section 43, subsection 1 of the Trade Disputes Act. What that says in a nutshell is that if you do not work, you should not be paid for the period that you are not working. Bringing this to bear with the current ASU strike, what it would mean, what government is saying therefore is that for the period that you are not working, for the period that you are staying at home, you are not going to be paid. And this, like I said, is codified in Section 43, subsection 1. If government pushes that through, it appears that government has a legal basis from Section 43, subsection 1. But since the situation that we are talking about is about giving effect to an agreement that government also entered into with ASU sometime in 2009, and which government has not given effect to my mind, it's a lot about giving effect to that agreement. It's a lot about sitting down and dialoguing. How even though government has a place and government can push it through, but because government has also not lived up to its part, which is giving effect to that agreement, I think both parties should sit down and judge and find a way forward. I'm one of the people who also argue that ASU has pushed a very good case too far, because I believe that even if they resume work, they can continue to have the discussions, they can continue to have the negotiations. If you resume work, it doesn't mean that government automatically will not give effect to that agreement. Are there better ways that we can give effect to this without being on strike? Yes, there are better ways that we can give effect to this. And I think it is high time for ASU to consider resuming school while the discussions go on. And then, of course, all well-meaning Nigerians are also invited to weigh in on the government to give effect to this agreement. So, of course, there's a legal basis for the no work, no pay policy. It derives even from the Asian, it's a Latin provision which talks about dies non-work, or that is to say, for those days that you do not work, you should not earn. We also have a scriptural allusion where you say, if you don't work, don't pay. If you no work, no chop, those kind of things. And I think that is what Section 43.
From what you've said, it seems like these negotiations or dialogue is not working. So if this continues, what next do you think should happen?
Well, I wouldn't say it's not working, because I know that government at some point have even changed. At some point, ASU continue to say, look, the Minister of Labour is not good enough for us, and government has said, okay, Minister of Labour, step aside. Different people have been brought in to have these conversations. If you look at the history of strikes in Nigeria, I remember at some point in time when distinguished Senator David Mark was Senate President, he wheeled in, and of course also were able to listen to him. I think that government also need to hire professional negotiators, professional arbitrators to begin to look at how to do this professionally. More than a labor union sitting on the one hand and government sitting on the other hand, and not being able to arrive at something. I believe it is high time for government to engage professionals who are trained negotiators, so that we can begin to tell both sides of the divide, look, this is what is in it for you, this is not what is in it for you, this is what you are going to lose. Ultimately, the Nigerian students have lost a lot. Of course. Like in the snipers that we have seen, people are supposed to have gone for youth service who should have been mobilized cannot be mobilized. Research is not going on in our universities. And so there is a lot that we have lost as a people and as a nation. And if at the end of the day we are going to be on a discussion table to bring this to an end, ASU should consider sitting on this discussion table. You can go to class and come back. I mean, if the strike were going to work, it would have worked before now. You are extending the strike. It means that this option that you have taken is not. It is high time ASU looks inward and looks for another option,
especially for the sake of the students. Let me ask you now, do you think the issue of trust and mistrust has a role to play here?
Yes,
especially on the part of honoring agreements.
Yes, incidentally, the federal government has not honored this agreement. And if you look at this agreement again, sometimes you also begin to look at whether government was thinking when it appended its signature to this kind of thing. Is this something that can be done? Because this agreement was renegotiated. It will interest you to know that the initial agreement has been renegotiated on government's terms. And so, of course, from that point of view, I agree that ASU can begin to say, look, in the first place, when you appended your signature to this, perhaps you did not want to give effect to it. Maybe you just wanted us to resume, and that is why you just appended your signature. And this time, we are going to stay at home until you give effect to every single one of it. So, of course, that is where the mistrust comes in. But if we look at our educational institution, which ASU mans, and that whatever happens in that place affects all of us, ASU, government, and all of what needs to sit down. I've seen pathetic situations where parents are saying, oh, do we contribute 10,000 so that we can fund you? And people have said those kind of things. And so government needs whatever government is going into now, and that is why it's important to engage professionals, so that before you put anything on the table, you can say, government, this is what you will put on the table, this is what you will see, this is the implication of what you will see, and this is the effect of not respecting that kind of thing.
Yes, we really hope that Nigerians, and indeed, of course, all the stakeholders involved, will really look at this point of view just raised in going back to the table to renegotiate so that the strike comes to an end. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We've been talking to Barrister Luke Oko on the ASU impasse between the ASU and the federal government. Now let's join Sadia Umar Digi in Sokoto for more on Nationwide.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has commenced a nationwide community sensitization on homegrown school feeding program. 2 women volunteers from each of the 23 local government areas in Sokoto State are to be trained on the do's and don'ts of the program and extend same to the cooks at grassroots level. Sheikh Muhammad Detti completes their story.
The training is to acquaint the volunteer women on how best the program is to be managed at the benefiting schools in the state. The volunteer women are expected to go on sensitizing people on the importance of the program at public places like women gatherings and give adequate information on the program. Benefiting pupils will have the opportunity of being fed 5 days a week and 20 days a month. Primary 1 to 3 pupils are expected to be beneficiaries of the program in the affected schools. The idea is to promote pupils' retention and sustainability of pupils' enrollment drive in schools.
Where we're doing well, we pat ourselves on the back, and where we fall short, we take the issues that we raise here back, and we hope that collectively we'll be able to improve on the implementation of the program.
We have presently 1,459 primary schools that are being paid so far.
Collaborative Agency on the Sensitization Program, National Orientation Agency, says they have been involved in all the sensitization exercises from the onset of the program to date.
The responsibility they are expected to perform in checkmating the implementation of the homegrown school feeding program.
State APC women leader Khadija Ahmad Shagari and other women volunteers appreciated the effort of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, calling for more social investment programs that will have direct impact on the masses. Tapkatu, Phil Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
Governor Amin Waziri Tambol has inaugurated a 30-member state drug abuse control committee with a mandate to check drugs and substance abuse in the state. Delhata Abdullahi has the report.
The committee has wife of Sokoto State Governor Haja Maria Amin Waziri Tambol as patron, to be chaired by the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Muhammad Ali Innami, while the State Commander of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Adamu Muhammad Iro, will serve as the Secretary of the committee. The membership of the committee cuts across stakeholders that include security agencies, traditional and religious leaders, drug regulatory agencies, educationists, state and local government officials, and the non-governmental organizations, as well as relevant bodies that would enhance the operations of the committee. The committee is saddled with the responsibility of identifying the illicit drugs and substances, the dealers, the sources of the illicit substances, abuse joints and addicts, and come up with the needed proactive measures to curtail sales, distribution, and use of illicit drugs in the state. Inaugurating the committee, Governor Amin Waziri Tambol called on the members to advise government on how to establish war against drug abuse clubs in schools and community drug-free clubs at ward levels toward realizing a drug-free society.
Substance abuse is one of the major causes of socioeconomic problems. These include the rising rate of crime and instability, ill health, and lack of productivity in all sectors and poverty.
The committee is also mandated to recommend to the government on setting up rehabilitation centers across the state and any other thing related to drug abuse and trafficking. In Sokoto, Delhata Abdullahi, NTA News.
And that's it from this end. Nationwide continues in Abuja right after this break.
What is happening? Your eyes are red. Your hand is a machete and a gun. See, I'm angry and I cannot contain it. See, my guy, calm down, calm down. I have planned to go and destroy these food businesses in the city. I have to retaliate what they've done at our place. They can have it now, never. If you destroy their business here and they destroy that of those close to you over there, especially that your brother who sends you steady cash, how would you survive? Won't your dreams be on hold? See, what you're saying is correct, but I'm still angry. The best way is to embrace peace. With peace and unity,
my people, let us embrace peace and unity. Let's learn to live as brothers and sisters for a progressive, prosperous nation. This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Agwe.
And the girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years. If she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just to pick the corner.
So how much sensitization is there, Paris?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just deaf.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions through violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news, or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Thank you for staying with us. Governor Maimala Buni has directed the State Ministry of Works to ensure speedy rehabilitation of the Katalko Bridge, which collapsed recently following flash floods. This is to ensure timely restoration of movements of people, goods and services along that axis. Yunusa Suleiman completes the report.
This is the washed-away section of the Katalko Bridge in Gujuba local government area of Yobe State that now separates Borno and Yobe States, in addition to disconnecting two Ritani local government areas in Yobe State. The bridge was brought down following recent torrential rainfall that wreaked havoc in some parts of the state. With this development, commercial activities along the corridor have been brought to a halt, with motorists and other road users forced to take a longer detour through Gombe State before getting to their destinations. Governor Maimala Buni was at the site of the collapsed bridge to examine the level of destruction caused by the flood, where he was briefed by the State Commissioner of Works, Omar Wakil Dugdai.
This one in particular that is linking Yobe State with Borno State and other neighboring states is a very important road for all of us. So we don't have to prolong the intervention. Please ensure that it is done as quickly as possible.
The Katalko Bridge, located about 20 kilometers away from Damaturu, the state capital, is the second bridge destroyed by flood this year. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Well, now, 24 hours after the collapse of a three-story building at GSM Market in Kano, rescue operations are still ongoing with the hope of rescuing victims trapped in the rubble. And our correspondent, Major Maa Adamu, is standing by for updates. Major Maa, if you can hear me, give us a situation report on what's going on right there at the scene.
Thank you, Lydia. It's a full day cycle here at the Beirut Road GSM Market in Kano Metropolis, venue of the unfortunate tragedy that befell the state yesterday, talking about the collapse of three-story building with persons trapped under the rubble. At the moment, search and rescue operations are still ongoing. And I have with me the Executive Secretary, State Emergency Management Agency, Kano State, Dr. Saleh Jili, to tell us how far so far.
I think with regard to the disaster, so far so good, because we are here together with all the major stakeholders on disaster management, police, army, road safety, Nigerian Red Cross, Nigerian National Emergency Management Agency, and the rest of other stakeholders.
Okay, with all this mobilization, how much has been achieved in terms of rescuing people that have been trapped?
Yesterday, we are able to rescue 8 people, which one of them was dead. And today, being the exercise has been completed yesterday, we are able to mobilize again to come back early morning to continue with the exercise. And as you can see, the operation is ongoing, so that we can make sure that we have not left things unturned, so we cannot leave anybody inside the collapsed building. So as far as we are concerned, up to now, there's no other casualties that we identify into this very unfortunate situation. So we're grateful to God, and we wish those who are rescued will have their health very recovered as soon as possible. So the government is doing everything possible, and we have involved all the Nigerian Society of Engineers to ensure that they have identified whose fault that causes this building collapse. So I'm sure government will look at it and see that we have taken a lot of appropriate action to ensure that such incidents do not happen again.
I equally have with me the chairman, Mobile Phone Sellers Association, Kano State Chapter, in the person of Abakar Usman Ahmad. What is the situation at the moment?
Actually, as you can see now, the rescue team from different NGOs and the government organization in collaboration with Nigerian police, civil defense, they have tried their best to rescue since yesterday, in which we rescue 8 people, out of which only one was dead. The other one has a severe fracture on his hand. Currently now in a hospital receiving a treatment.
Are there still people searching for their beloved ones?
Actually, we did not receive anything. That's what gives us a sense of confidence that we are expecting not any casualties anymore. But this is an assumption. You cannot ascertain until we have been finishing this work.
All right,
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Hello, yes, please.
Thank you for that situation report. We'll join you much later, if possible, to get more updates from you. Thank you, Major Ma'a.
It's all right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here.
Major Ma'a reporting from Kano there. Now let's join Hingino in Lagos for more reports.
Thank you, Lydia. Lagos State government will go beyond giving priority to the development of education through increased funding and adoption of a more practical approach to learning, with a view to ensuring that the problem of out-of-school children is eradicated across the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made this known while participating virtually at this year's Education Summit in Lagos. Musa Toliat has details.
Education consultants, administrators and key players in organized private sector gathered at this year's Lagos Education Summit to brainstorm and exchange ideas on the best practical education model needed to ensure no child is left behind. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who joined the conversation virtually, stressed that the focus of the Education Summit is to achieve a better approach to education than what currently is in practice, so that funding will be impactful and educators are better equipped to impart qualitative knowledge.
I'm hoping that even at the end of this summit, we can have a real conversation, especially with our private schools. What are the things that we need to do to ensure that we get a lot more, out of school children? How do we ensure that we get them back in school?
We are building a human-centric city in which every Lagosian will have access to affordable and world-class education, healthcare, and social services.
Yes, lecturer, Professor Enase Okunedo laments the decay in education sector, saying the knowledge-based system which Nigeria now practices is no longer appropriate. She said the system now allows the students to read for exams and pass, after which they forget what they have been taught.
As we think about educating the people, let's think, are there learning projects that we can use so that they experience the learning, because that will stay with them.
Content must reflect your socioeconomic, affinity. The teachers must be able to be globally competitive.
There was a panel discussion on the need to create more room for private sector participation in education development across the country. The 2-day Lagos State Education Summit has the theme, creating a sustainable, fit-for-purpose education model. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
The Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, promoters of the Nigeria Broadcasting Awards, TNBA, have assured industry players, stakeholders and Nigerians of the credibility of the awards process, as the organization is set to recognize broadcasters for excellence. The chairman of BON, John Ugbe, stated this at a media briefing in Lagos. The Nigeria Broadcasting Awards, TNBA, seeks to recognize and celebrate broadcasters like professionals in other industries and sectors. The chairman of Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON, John Ugbe, says the award is aimed at elevating broadcasting standards by motivating broadcasters to strive harder and excel more in what they do.
We need to begin to amplify more of what we do. And that's when we came up with the National Broadcasting Awards. I think the first thing was we need to feel power and drive growth and also very important for us professionals.
Described as the first of its kind in the history of Nigerian broadcasting, the organizer says there will be 13 categories of awards. It therefore calls for entries in the various categories.
How to enter, where to enter, how to vote. Most of the voting we hope will be on the website, but there might be short code voting. We do not want to, the thing is, we don't want it to be expensive for you to vote for your favorite. So we want to basically allow you to just go on the website and vote.
The inaugural edition of the awards is billed for early November 2022 in Abuja and is open to current professionals working in both BON member stations and those working with stations that are not members of BON. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Nationwide continues after this break in Abuja with Lydia.
Sees that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress, like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondents, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back. The Buhari Media Organization, BMO, has applauded the present administration in maintaining economic growth despite global challenges. The pro-media group in a statement said President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration deserves more plaudits than it is getting for Nigeria's 3.54% economic growth in the second quarter of 2022. This, the media organization said, came at a time when much of the world witnessed a general economic slowdown. It added that President Buhari remains committed to leaving the country better than he met it on assuming office in 2015. National Coordinator, International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, Dr. Fatima Aliyu, has reiterated federal government's commitment to enhanced food production for sustainable agricultural transformation. She was speaking in Enugu during a field inspection tour and distribution of farm implements to some rural farmers in the state. Kelechi Ochiaga now reports.
Flagging off the distribution of farm equipment worth over 800 million to rural farmers in the state, the national coordinator IFAD emphasized that a program which cut across 5 local governments in Enugu state is designed to expand economic opportunities for rural farmers who are cultivating not more than 5 hectares of rice and cassava.
I'm happy to note that Enugu BCDP has made gigantic strides. They've recorded a lot of successes.
Represented by the Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Chuks Ugoke, the Enugu State Governor maintained that agriculture is targeted at changing the narrative in the economy, especially among rural populace. Governor Ugwuanyi disclosed that VCDP Enugu is in line with the policy direction of the current administration in the state. Presenting a paper titled 2-Year Scorecard of IFAD VCDP Enugu, the Enugu State Project Coordinator, Dr. Edward Choka Isiu, enumerated some of the achievements recorded by the agency so far, both in agricultural development and agro inputs donated to the rural farmers in the benefiting communities and local governments. Among the equipment distributed to the rural committed farmers were tricycle, rice processor and miller, nutrient-dense equipment, and a lot more.
The officer of the IFAD, God will give him long life and prosperity.
In Enugu, Kelechi Ochiara, NTA News.
The Ministry of Interior has received the Ministerial Committee report on standard curriculum development for the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Learning and retraining of personnel essential for personnel in tackling contemporary security challenges and developing a suitable and standard curriculum for the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to meet international standard is the mandate of the Ministerial Committee inaugurated February this year. Presentation of this report is a starting point for achieving the set targets provided in the NSCDC Act of 2003 and 2007.
The committee recommends that in order to raise the standard of the schools to achieve higher professionalism of the Corps, infrastructure, curriculum, staffing, and funding should be adequately attended to as soon as possible to ensure smooth take-up of the institutions.
It is my vision that the Corps will be able to provide the best education and training for its staff that will best what is attainable elsewhere. Today's occasion, therefore, set the stage for the building and development of a solid foundation for skill acquisition, for better performance and improved productivity in the Corps.
What remains now is immediate action for the policy managers in the implementation of the document for national security. Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
The fight against oil theft is witnessing renewed vigor with the inauguration of gunboats for the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to curb the menace in Rivers State. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, while inaugurating the boats, charges security agencies on effective synergy against illegal oil bunkering in the country. Robinson Deratede reports.
Oil theft has become an organized crime, with Nigeria said to be losing. Towards addressing this crime, the Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola inaugurated 8 gunboats manufactured locally to strengthen the combat readiness of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) in Rivers State. The minister urged host communities to support security agencies as the boats traverse rivers and creeks to stamp out oil theft, pipeline vandalism, towards boosting the nation's revenue.
This is a point of the level of commitment of the federal government at enhancing the capacity of the Corps to end to support the process of ending oil theft and pipeline vandalism.
I like to assure Nigeria that the Civil Defense Corps is ready, to fight oil thieves, and that we advise that any oil thief should find another state to relocate, that's another country. Otherwise, we're going to go after them.
Apart from the local content benefits of manufacturing the gunboats locally, the boats has a global positioning system with 200 horsepower engines for 24 hours operation. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Daratede, NTA News.
The increasing knowledge in ICT has broadened the task of the auditor in the financial market as people become more smarter in manipulating the records to update the auditor with the contemporary realities in the profession, informed the Director of Audit, Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, Akindele Wasiu Dolamo, to come up with a book, Risk-Based Approach to Financial Auditing, for practicing and budding auditors. Nneka Oku reports.
Being an auditor in today's complex business environment involves more than merely balancing the books. It requires ensuring that appropriate checks and balances are in place to manage risk. The risk-based approach to financial auditing proves to be an infallible risk response tool for practicing auditors looking to enhance their skills for success in the rapidly changing business world.
Another unique picture you see in this book is the philosophical and logical sequence in which the content has been arranged, which I actually mentioned. You just see that you are really going into a practical audit exercise. How to do it is what has been itemized in this particular book.
A masterpiece in its own right, the 65-page book with 13 lessons is a product of the author's over 30 years experience as an accountant and auditor. He gives insight into his inspiration to write.
For risk-based approach to financial auditing, we are looking at a situation whereby the auditor will examine the control in place in the organization. We examine the financial statement and check whether there are misstatements in any of the components of the financial statement.
I think it's very good that he's done this. I congratulate him once again, and I think it's something that's going to be useful for those that are coming behind or even people that are in the financial industry.
In Abuja, Nneka Oku, NTA News.
A former Inspector General of Police retired Solomon Arase says security personnel need training and retraining to be better equipped to tackle the security challenges facing the country. He was speaking at the 2022 Nigerian Police Force Election Security Management Training held in Enugu for staff and other security agencies. Chika Ugu reports.
Security challenges facing the country. The Nigerian Police Force is committed and braced up to face the challenges. Former Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase, however, believes that the security personnel need more knowledge and experience to tackle the challenges and also ensure a violence-free 2023 polls, hence the training.
Interagency collaboration in election security management has always been a sound point in our body politics, and that is one of the reasons why the IG felt that we should come and discuss with you.
Inspector General of Police represented noted that the training is also to ensure that security agents are equipped with the necessary assistance that would help them protect and safeguard the rights of the citizens in the 2023 general elections.
This solid initiative of the development is geared towards building knowledge of concept of the government or election skills operation, as well as enhancing capacity in operational efficiency of the government.
Others who spoke said there is need to tackle some of the security threats facing the country. They, however, expressed optimism that the 2023 general elections will be free, fair, and devoid of violence. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Military Wives Association and Heavy Duty Drivers Association of Nigeria is partnering to care for the needs of wives of ex-servicemen from proceeds realized through membership dues and selling of tickets. National President of the Heavy Duty Drivers Association of Nigeria, Uche Rogers Newa, made the promise at the flag-off of the partnership in Abuja.
I thank God for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who made it possible to have a database for our foreign heroes and those that are retired. That is why they made it clear. Anything that will go to the wife of the foreign heroes will go through NIWA. NIWA is a body recognized by the Federal Republic of Nigeria to see after the wives and children of the foreign heroes.
They have members across the country. There is no village, no community you don't find heavy duty drivers or workers. The synergy has been there. We didn't start today. I'm a humanitarian, and that is what brought our relationship with NIWA, and the synergy will grow stronger.
Officials of the Federal Road Safety Corps and traditional rulers applauded the associations for coming together for a humanitarian mission. Now to matters concerning health. The advocacy to promote African traditional medicine through research to meet international standards has again come to the fore as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark International Day of Traditional Complementary Alternative Medicine. The Federal Ministry of Health Traditional Medicine practitioners in a road walk sensitized the public to take pride in the nation's indigenous medicine based on modern improvement and efficacy.
If our product is packaged with accessible, affordable, and we are going to see that African traditional medicine meet up to international standards. No need to carry ourselves go abroad. And in Nigeria, our Ministry of Health is really in support of this, in support of TICA, and in support of what the practitioners are doing.
For the World Health Organization, universal health coverage to be attained, further research and certification of the African traditional medicine by related organizations, they say, is key. The week-long event continues with symposium and exhibitions in Abuja. Let's now join Kenema Bodike for more on Sports Update.
First Vice President of Nigeria Football Federation, Sheyi Akiwumi, declares to run for the President of the Federation at the forthcoming elective Congress. Business of football, development, infrastructure and technology would be his major focus if elected.
Every decision that I will take as President of the Nigeria Football Federation will be in the interest of football.
In Ogun State, an international football scouting delegation which is partnering the state government has inspected facilities at the MKO Abiola Stadium in Abuja and the sports complex of Remo Stars Football Club in Ikene ahead of a scouting program to discover and nurture talents at the grassroots.
This has the capacity of lifting thousands of families out of poverty in Nigeria. So it's, it's very laudable and highly commendable.
The facilities we have received, yes, this fits perfectly. It has everything that this program are searching and looking for.
In tennis, four-time champion Rafael Nadal is in second round of the US Open. In the women's singles, seven-time Grand Slam winner Venus Williams. In other results, David Shapovalov beat Marc-Andre Huesler 2-6, 6-4, 6-4, 3-6, 6-1. Victoria Azarenka defeated Ashlyn Kruger 6-1, 4-6, 6-2, while former champion Naomi Osaka and women's defending champion Ima Raducanu crashed out in first round. That's Sports Update. I am Kenan Ima Abodike, NTA News.
And with that, we'll conclude nationwide. But before we go, don't forget to join NTA in its campaign against rape and rapists. I am Lydia Odijochi. Thank you for watching. Good evening.
you.